Hey there, everyone. It is Kim Crumpus from the Price Action Traders Institute, and it is Monday, July 15th. I want to give you a short video and do a quick recap on the New York session today in the Forex market. So before I begin, I just want to go over a few ground rules and guidelines that we use here at the Price Action Traders Institute. And if you haven't heard of us before, welcome. There's other videos on this YouTube channel that you can take a look at. And you can also visit our website at priceactiontradersinstitute.com. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the guidelines. All right, so what you're looking at here is a basic outline of our PATI trading guidelines, and PATI just stands for Price Action Traders Institute. First thing, you have to have a planning process. All traders, whether you're trading stocks, Forex, commodities, options, whatever it is, you have to have some sort of planning process that you can use on a repeatable basis. When you have a planning process, that helps you filter and decide what pairs you might want to trade in a session. Next, once you've done your trade plan, you need to identify your setups or your triggers that you're looking for. Either put your pending orders in or put them on your watch. Then you choose which pair or pairs you are going to trade in that session. And then finally, of course, is execute on your plan. All right. So this morning, I chose only 4 pairs that I wanted to trade. They were in solid overnight moves, or as we say here at the Price Action Traders Institute, CDMs, clear directional moves. I like that as my first filter. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I traded and the charts that I looked at. For instance, at the Price Action Traders Institute, we look at only 10 pairs. You can look at as many pairs as you want to. I find I don't need to look at more than these 10 that we use in our trade planning session and also when I trade. All right, let's go ahead and go out to those charts. All right, so the first chart you're looking at is the pound yen. This was my first trade this morning. I liked this overnight move. I started this morning about 20 minutes after the New York Open, so that would have been around 10 to 7 my time here in California, or 10 to 10 on the East Coast. All right, so you can see I executed this trade at 22, at 135.22, and I have a 12 pip stop. That's what we use on the pound yen. So 12 pip stop, got in this trade, and ended up starting to lock this trade. Actually got in this around 7:15 this morning, and my first lock here was at 9 a.m. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so the pair is starting to move down. I get a little bit in this trade, and now I want to at least move my stop down to protect the position and come out with some pips if it turns around on me. I'm targeting at our first level here down at 135 even. And when you become a PATI member, we have a template that places all of this on your chart. And once you open up a trade, you will see your targets. So you always know exactly where you want to aim for in a trade. All right. And then shortly after that, about 45 minutes into it, the pair started moving closer. And you can see that now I've moved that stop down to lock in 12, and I'm still targeting down here. My limit is set for 135 even, and that trade did come out at 135 even for plus 22. So that was the first trade of the day, and it actually hit the target. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next trade, which was on the Australian dollar, and go ahead and get that one up. And this one is the first one. So the Australian dollar had this nice move overnight, and I was interested in getting long right here. And on the Australian dollar, we use a 10 pip stop. So here's the 10 pip stop down here. Let's go ahead and see. The trade didn't really do too much. So at this point, it started to move up, heading for these overnight highs here. And I just locked in +1 just to cover my costs on the trade. And again, targeting up here at 70.50. And then at a little bit later, I moved it up to lock in 2, still targeting up here. And I ended up jumping out of this trade, punching out of this trade for +4. the pair just never went anywhere, and it was starting to get late in the session. All right, so AU +4, the GJ +22. Let's go ahead. My next trade was the AJ, and this one was right here. You can see there was a strong, nice move overnight, nice pullbacks. I got in long here, and I was looking to target up in here at 76, although I don't have a limit set at this point when I take the screenshot. And on this pair, we use a 12 pip stop, just like the GJ. All right. And then next, you can see that the first time I moved to lock was here when price started to move up. I put my limit in now up at 76.0 and put a protective stop at +3. Then I moved it up again one more time to lock in +5 and ended up hitting my protective stop for +5 on this trade. All right, so GJ +22, AU +4, and the AJ +5. Then the last trade of the morning that I took out of the 4 that I took was the New Zealand dollar. And this is what this looked like at the time of entry. So here's a beautiful move overnight. I get in long here and use on this pair, also like the Australian dollar, we use a 10 pip stop. And that is right here on this red line. All right, so New Zealand dollar, get in long and looking for this to move up. Price never really went anywhere. It actually just continued to drop. And so I moved my protective stop on this one to lock in -3. So instead of having to bear a 10 pip stop, which is the original stop loss, I started pulling it up. And then actually once price got back up into my actual entry, I ended up taking this off at break even. So this trade I didn't make anything on. All right, let's go ahead and just quickly recap for everyone. So on the GJ, that trade pulled in 22 and it actually hit the target. The AU, I punched out with +4, and the AJ, I had a protective stop in, and that protective stop was hit for +5, and the New Zealand, I punched out at break even. So there was no win, there was no loss. And the total of all of this in a very slow market was +31. And I considered that a very successful day, given that there was not much market activity. Let's go quickly out to the 10 pairs that we look at, and I'll just walk through why I took the trades I took and how I decided not to trade the other pairs. All right, so let's go out to the charts. All right, if you remember at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that we look at 10 pairs. So I'm going to run through the 10 pairs that we do on our trade planning process and tell you why I chose the ones I chose. The EU was just ranging and didn't really have anything to trade when I first sat down at my screens. The EJ, the same thing. And the pound dollar had what we call an active RBO, meaning price was in an active RBO but was not ready to short when I was looking at which pairs to trade. The GJ you saw, I did take that and ended up coming out with +22. The AU you saw, I took that trade also and punched out with +4. Notice how price still hasn't moved on this pair. The AJ was a one-timer also, and this was hit with a protective stop of +5. The dollar yen was just ranging. There was nothing to see. The CAD also was ranging. It started to break, but then fell back in, wasn't interested. And the CAD yen also, there was never any trade set up. And the New Zealand dollar continues from the time I got in to just go sideways. All right, so that's it. Again, remember, you have to have a planning process. Let's go back to that and just quickly review that slide. You have to have a planning process that's simple and repeatable, meaning every time you sit down to trade, you know exactly what to look for and what to do. The planning process will help you identify your setups, and from that, you choose which pair or pairs you want to trade in the session and then execute on your plan. All right, if you have any questions or you want to find out more about our PADI membership or our course, Command Your Trading, please go to our website, priceactiontradersinstitute.com. If you want to email me, you can send an email to info@priceactiontradersinstitute.com. tradinginstitute.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/priceactionkim. I talk about my trades almost on a daily basis. Thank you again for listening. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day.